morning, good morning. How's everyone today? Ready for a fun-filled and exciting council meeting? Annual meeting, I should say. All right. We're going to start off with just a brief change in the order to make sure that we are all legal and following all of the bylaws and rules. So we are going to quickly call the meeting to order and then as quickly adjourn the meeting so we can do the foundation work, and then we'll pick it back up with the opening prayer after that. So with that, I will call the meeting to order. Second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Now to adjourn the meeting. Motion, second?
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Heather.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Okay, awesome. I think I am. Where's the? You were only supposed to take the clicker after. Yeah. I love that we're calling this a celebration. And therefore, I am going to celebrate our foundation as well, because we have done some, yet again, amazing work in 2024. That's what I'm going to share with you today. So in case folks are not familiar with the foundation, we were established in 1991. We have benefited from both small and large donations from members such as you through the years, which has allowed us to give we give 5% of our 3-year average assets each year. And I'll share with you more about what we funded in 2024. But our 3 areas of support are scholarships, which have been wonderfully leveraged over the last several years. We're so excited that there's that many students going to Lutheran colleges and seminaries. So we support that. We also do a substantial amount for hunger and poverty. And lastly, we work on a lot of initiatives that really bring some vitality and interest to our church in Bright Idea grants. And I'll share more about what we did there. Our 2024 board, you can see, is listed here. The 2 names that are highlighted, they are the biggest troublemakers. And I wanted to let you guys know that. That's why they're highlighted. Just kidding. They are just finishing their 2nd term, so they've been on the foundation for 6 years. So Lauren and Tara, I want to really appreciate their contributions. They've been wonderful. One of the obligations we have, according to our bylaws, is to share our financial report. And so on this slide, you'll see that we started 2024 with $440,000 in assets. We gave $22,000 of grants this year, or last year. We earned over $58,000 in our investments. And we got 2 gifts from anonymous donors of $185. So we ended 2024 with a healthy $476,000. The work that we supported in 2024 was really, it's fulfilling to us to do this. So we have 6 students that requested scholarships, or that we granted scholarships. We contributed $5,000 to hunger and poverty, and we partner with our social action committee to do so. We take recommendations from them, as well as we match the Keystone food donation each year. Lastly, we had 3 really awesome Bright Idea grants that we funded. One was the United, tickets to the United soccer game that I don't know if anybody, raise your hand if anybody here went to that. I thought it was a really fun event. Also, there was a need to do some branding refresh, which I'm sure you've all noticed, the amazing new brand that Immanuel has. And then lastly, we supported the care team in some grief ministry, wonderful ideas that they have to really wrap our arms around some of our members that have experienced grief recently. So we've got those 3 wonderful ideas. I want to mention, though, we provide the funding, but it's the members that do the execution and do the work of this. So just a big thank you to everybody that has requested money and taken their work forward. Yes?
Can I ask a question?
You bet. Oh, there's a microphone that you must have. So hold on. we're going to be serious this time about that.
Back on the Keystone grant, do you also match the funds that we collect at the Wednesday night dinners that go to the food shelf?
That's a good question. I don't think so, but we usually, our $2,000 max, it's met every year. Like, there are that many donations and more, I think, from that Keystone fund or food drive. So I think that is pretty much it. But that's something, if you were recommending that, we certainly can consider it.
I am recommending it.
Okay.
In January, everything that we collect in the offering basket goes to Keystone, and also during Lent. So those
Ooh.
2 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll take that into consideration. Thank you. Are there any other questions before I go forward? Okay. This just shows, the awesome new logo that we supported and a picture. I was sitting right in front of these 2 kiddos today, and that was at the United game. All right, so that's pretty much what we're going to cover, but we have a couple of needs from you all today. So I do have a list of some other work that we have completed this year. The board takes the role very seriously in making sure that we're doing the proper governance, routines, archiving things. So we did a little bit of work on that this year, or last year as well. We do have 3 congregational votes needed. So I know there's only 2 here, so you're going to have to be okay with being a little bit flexible on a 3rd one. But let's go ahead and move forward with this first one. So we do want to update our bylaws to allow a majority vote versus a unanimous vote when we are conducting business via email. So we do a lot of business throughout the year where we only meet once a quarter, so we sometimes have business in between there, so we conduct that via email. And right now, our bylaws say we have to have a unanimous vote in those emails, but sometimes people aren't, always available. They might be traveling. So I would love a motion to update the bylaws as such. Is that all I need to do? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Okay, the second bylaw update that I should say that. The second update of the bylaws just came up this time where, as you saw, Seth started the meeting, ended the meeting, and then I came up here. We would like to change the bylaws so that we can do the foundation business prior to starting the congregation meeting. We still will require the quorum and such, but so basically I'd like a motion for us to be able to do the foundation meeting either before or after the congregation meeting. So moved. All in favor? Say aye. Aye. All opposed? I have a question back there.
Point of order. Where is that supposed to fall in the order? So the motion was to update the bylaws so that we can immediately adjourn. We need to determine the quorum before we do that.
Yes.
So I haven't determined the quorum, but that's just make sure that.
Okay, sounds good. So the question was, do we need to have the quorum before we start the foundation meeting? And the answer is yes. We would need to validate quorum. So that's something we'll have to make sure that we do before we start the foundation meeting. Okay. I think we passed that one. So the last one, and then I'll get off the stage, is the 2025 board. And so you will see highlighted, these are not troublemakers. The 2 that are highlighted are our newest volunteers. Krista Helgeson is going to fill in the treasurer role, and Margaret Horseman is going to be a general member. So we need to have approval of the board. So would somebody please make a motion to approve the board? Thank you, Carrie. And a second? Second. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Wonderful. It's so moved. And that is all I had, unless there's any questions, either online or from within the room. Okay, well, thanks for another.
Technically, we didn't approve the second one. I made a motion, there was a question.
Okay.
So just to make things official, should we vote on that?
Okay, let's do it. So let's make a motion that the foundation meeting can be before or after the annual meeting.
So moved. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thanks for keeping us on track. So moved. All right, Seth, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you very much, Heather. And thank you to the foundation for the wonderful work that they do. Yeah, I can run it. All right. Question: do we need to have a motion to reopen the meeting then? We're going to go on with. Okay, here we go. All right. With that, the first thing I'll pull up for us to take a look at just the overall agenda, so you can everyone has it. It's in your packet as well as up here. And with that, I will turn over to Pastor Cindy for the opening prayer.
The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Loving and grace-filled God, we come before you today offering all that we have in your service. Take what we bring and fill it with your Spirit so we can be light for this beautiful and broken world. Give us ears to hear your call and the wisdom to follow. In the name of Christ we pray. Amen.
We have a few introductory matters, as it says on there, that we need to attend to. First on the list is, the next slide, is the attendance and quorum. Martha, are you ready? We have a quorum. Excellent. Moving on, I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda that was both in your packet and was on the previous slide. So moved. Can I get a second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Excellent. Next, we need to approve the minutes from our annual meeting last year. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
A second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And with that, we are barreling right ahead into the council president's remarks. It has been a busy year here at Immanuel. We have done so many wonderful things, and we have been able to move so many important projects forward, and it has just been a blessing for me to be involved in the wonderful church council and to be involved with the leadership here at the church and all the wonderful things that are happening. Early on in 2024, the council spent some time reading the story of the Good Samaritan, and in particular, we focused on that question of, and who is my neighbor? And we had some really good conversations about that. And on the one hand, it seems very easy, well, people in our neighborhood, but is it also our city, our state, our country, the world? And what do we owe those people? It quickly turns into a sort of a daunting overall question. But we really like to wrestle with that, and really helped us to also think about it in terms of the concept of public church that we've been working with for about 1.5 years now, and really thinking about how we take the work that we do and bring it to the community and listen to the community and get involved in that way with them. So this was kind of one of the themes that we looked at and thought about throughout the overall year. There were, talk about 3 or 4 different kind of themes that we had this year around the work of the congregation. The first theme is technology. Which has been just, for my mind, an amazing transformation from where we were, just 18 months ago to the wonderful systems and things that we have today. First of all, there was this system called Touchpoint that many of you probably don't touch a whole lot. However, it's helping sort of the whole congregation. It's the kind of the unseen back end that allows all of the systems to work together, so that now we don't have a separate system for the finances and for the emails and for the giving, and all these things live together in one system. I have never sort of in my work life seen a system of this scale been implemented so quickly and so effectively. And so a huge thank you to the folks who were heavily involved with that project, in particular Brian and Rhonda, I know Deanna, many others that I'm sure I'm not going to name. So a round of applause for those that helped with the Touchpoint. Touchpoint has then enabled us to have our own app. Quick shameless plug, if you have not used the app or downloaded the app, please do it now. I enjoy it for many things, in particular making quick donations for the Wednesday night dinner. It's very easy to donate through there, and also to know what is for dinner on Wednesday night. That is a favorite question of my kids now, of what's for dinner, and so I look it up in the app and I can tell them and either get the groans or cheers depending on what it is. By the way, thank you for having chicken noodle soup during the chili month. That is much appreciated by them as well. Last but certainly not least was the work that was done around the new website and the rebranding. Many of you have seen it. You can see the new rebranding here. Again, a wonderful team that worked very hard to be a part of that and to bring that forward. We also hired an outside consultant who was very instrumental in bringing that forward. It just helps us to have a much more kind of clean, modern, updated image and be able to really tell our story more effectively. And so we're excited to have that as well. It has also been a busy year for the physical infrastructure of this church building and grounds. The biggest one was the landscaping project that happened outside. I want to give appreciation to Harvey real quick. Thank you, Harvey, for the work that you've done on that. Harvey was instrumental in overcoming many obstacles and challenges, including not the least of which was bids that were astronomically different than from what was originally estimated. And so his leadership and dedication allowed us to work through that, and also the generosity of the congregation who stepped forward to help fund some of the shortfalls and really allow us to complete the vision that was laid out and that we went for. I think it looks great. The sign is a wonderful addition to that as well. So many pieces to that part of the puzzle. So anyway, those are, finally, the other thing with there, which was on the sort of less glamorous side, landscaping is a little more glamorous. There was a broken sewer pipe that many of you may have heard about. There were some less glamorous things as well. And so thanks to Ron and others who helped get that fixed because, well, you need a sewer pipe. So. We also had we had some staffing changes this year, and so two things that we wanted to just comment on there. First of all is welcoming Josh. I don't know, where's Josh? There he is. I wanted to welcome Josh. We were so glad to have you and your family here at the congregation. We appreciate so much all that you do in helping to lead our worship, and it's just been great to have you around here in our community of faith here. We also, please welcome Josh. Back in July, we were sad to bid farewell to Peter Aldrich, who'd been our organist for a while, but we are very excited to welcome Bjorn, who's been a wonderful addition to the worship and his wonderful playing. I don't know if Bjorn's here, but let's give Bjorn a round of applause as well. All right, enough about that stuff. Let's talk a little bit about what the council has done. What have we been up to this year? What happens in all of these various things? Again, busy in many things in supporting a lot of these efforts that we have just talked about. But as a council, we focused on three things. The first thing that we focused on is we really wanted to have a chance to meet individually with the various ministry teams that are out there. And so worked hard we got most of them in this year, but to try to invite one of the team leads to come to our meeting every month and to hear from them directly about the work that they're doing and see if there are ways that the council could support them more effectively. And so I found those to be very helpful to really learn what's going on. There's a lot of people doing a lot of good work here, and so it was really helpful just to hear about all those different elements. So that was one of our focuses this year. In the second was a spring retreat where we focused on updating our congregational ends. And for those of you who don't know what congregational ends off the top of your head, those are kind of like our kind of broad statements of below the mission, so it's a little bit more specific, but gives us some direction about what we're doing. We also created two more specific and short-term goals that were really hoping to shape the work that is happening for this 24-25 program year. And so the two goals in brief were increase active participation in faith formation and the depth of faith among kids, youth, and adults. And number two, expand participation of Immanuel members and friends in the public church activities. And so those were the two kind of goals that we set out and that the staff and the teams have been kind of organizing their work around as they've been thinking about how to which projects to put their time and resources towards. The third thing the Church Council has been focused on was this concept of engagement. And so you'll hear more about this, I'm sure, going forward as well. But we had another mini retreat in the fall. Apparently I like retreats a lot. I guess that's just something I enjoy talking with people. Imagine that. So there was a retreat about engagement. And so we focused on the question of how do we welcome new people into the congregation. And that was the area of focus that we worked on. And so we went through kind of thinking about both the website and sort of all of that's a presence, thinking about email communication follow-up when people reach out to us, but also what sort of team or structure do we want into place? How do we want to welcome people into our congregation? Are we that congregation that latches on to every person who walks through the door? Are we a little bit more standing back? what's kind of the right approach to how we welcome people into this community. So thinking about that, even just walking around and looking at the physical space and thinking through exactly how many turns and decisions do you have to make when you come in off the parking lot. You walk in a door, you're faced with a wall. Can you go upstairs or downstairs? You get to the top of the stairs. Do you go left, right, or straight? So there's just things like that about signage and all of that. So we're working on putting together perhaps a new team or a reconstrued team that will work on thinking through these engagement pieces. And so we're excited to see where that work takes us going forward. All the things that I just mentioned are in addition to all of just the regular stuff that we do. So all of the flea markets, all of the caroling, all of the worship, and everything that goes on. And so a big thank you to the council, to the team leads, to the staff, and to all the members of the congregation that volunteer our time. It has been my privilege to serve as the president, and I'm so excited to see where this congregation goes moving forward. And with that, I move us on to the financial summary.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jeff Engelking. I am the treasurer. It's my first year as treasurer, but I've been part of the finance team for almost as long as I've been here. It's been over 10 years. So before we get into the detailed financial statements, I just want to give you an idea of what we're doing today. So we're going to go through the financials, and at the end here, I'm going to ask for two things. I'm going to ask for approval and acceptance of the 2024 financials. They form the basis for the new year in 25. And then also, we're going to ask for approval of the 2025 budget. So just so you know, it takes us 2 years to put this report together that we're talking about, so you get to see the fruits of that labor. Please know that before we ask the congregation's approval, the finance team reviews the finances every single month, and then we also take the council through it at a little higher level, but it gets visibility there. And then at the end of the year, we bring a group like this together. Who was here last week for the more detailed financials? Good, good. That's when we take the church through that at a more detailed level. We'll kind of skim through things today. And then also we have the finance committee and the council recommend the budget and the financials for this congregation here. So with all that, these have had some visibility already. So this is the balance sheet for the organization. I'd like to think of it in kind of two sections. So on the ministry funds below, these are the funds available that have been, designated either by the donor or by the council. And then the uncommitted funds, you'll see that's $275,000. Those are funds that the council can designate but hasn't yet. And you'll see on the comments on the left, we like to keep, by policy, $100,000 of cash just available for, emergencies, like if we, like a sewer pipe or some other, money to tide us over until insurance kicks in or what have you. So that means that's $175,000 the council could really put to work. So you'll see at the top, we have $603,000 or $604,000 of cash, and then the sections below just show how that cash was put together. So I'm gonna focus on two things today. The general fund, you'll see that went up to $185,000. That is great news, and I've got a whole nother slide to go into the detail of how that happened. And then we'll talk a little bit about the campaign as well, and then we'll go into the 2025 budget. So with that, okay, kind of busy here, but I like this graph at the top. Mark helped us put this together. You'll see that we made the general fund for offering. You'll see number 1, line 1 on the green there. It's the biggest part of the budget. It is the budget, and I want to thank everyone here for contributing to the church. The general fund, what we're talking about here, this is really the sustainable revenues and expenses for the church. It's the utilities, it's the staff, and it's a lot of the operating ministry programs. And we spend a lot of time planning for this because the sustainability of the revenues and expenses really helps keep the church going. So the big news in this year, you'll see at the yellow line, we got some employee tax credits. It was a pandemic era program where the federal government to help churches and all organizations out to help them retain their staff. They said we're going to give some relief of payroll funds. So we applied probably over a year ago, and they put a hold on the program, and the fund showed up in December. So we got $84,000 that goes into the general fund. We put it in the general fund because it resulted from the payroll taxes that were paid during the pandemic. And it's higher than we thought because they paid us interest. So that's all really good news, and it makes the bottom line look terrific, $106,000. So as I was talking about earlier, the general fund is part of the balance that the council can make decisions on. And so we're kind of noodling on what best to do that. It's one-time money, so it's not something that we can go out and just hire more staff for or anything like that, but it's a great one-time boost for something that can happen. So talk to a council member, help us dream a little bit of what that might look like. Other than that, I think the budget would have been favorable otherwise too. The offering came on almost right on where we thought it would be. It's within 1%, which is great considering all of the gifts that go into that $450 or almost $451,000. And then the variances, we were favorable. The biggest one is in property. I think of that as being lucky and good. So utilities were lower, largely because it was warmer than usual. And then Deanna and the team helped us really get some savings on our garbage and recycling and things like that helped us. So lucky and good. The other ones, the employee expenses, we had an open position for the organist. And social action, we spent more money there because we had a terrific flea market. So we were able to give out more benevolence related to that. So any quick questions on this? Otherwise, I would just remind everyone it's archived on the site from last week. So can we get you a mic? Okay.
All right, you just answered my question.
Oh.
I wondered where if these slides were available, and you said they're on the website, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep. Okay. I got one more slide. Okay, this is just a summary of the campaign. So the campaign, the Capital Campaign 7, if you remember, this was the last one that we used to pay off the debt related to the expansion of this facility, which is great. We're now debt-free. And then the rest of the money was just going toward capital improvements of the church. So the yellow line shows that we're on track or above where we thought the contributions would be, but we've got a little ways to go. Just a reminder, if you haven't fulfilled your pledge for the campaign, there's still time to do that. And we don't have another campaign started, but we still have a lot of capital needs for the church. So I think that's kind of our task here for the next year is what happens after Campaign 7. So with that, I think I want to bring Mark up here, and we're going to talk about the spending plan.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, so I think I go this way. Okay, so here's the budget for 2025, and it's pretty much the same target as it was this year, $450,000, and over in the far right-hand side, 450 over there, and the we've gone through and talked to each committee, and we've got their asks in there, and we were able to give the employees a 2.5% increase this year. The admin line item is things like postage and telephone annual or telephone monthly costs, those sorts of utility things. Property is the utilities like the electricity and the gas and so forth. Social action is expenses related to, that's where the benevolence goes, like the dollars to the Senate, and that was increased this year too, a little bit. Membership, education, worship, those align, and media ministry aligns with the committees. So that's the accounting look at it, and you see that it's 506,000 is a total expense on 503 income. Okay, it looks a little bit negative, but from a percentage wise, that's less than it's about a 0.5% difference. So archery, we hit the bullseye. It's great. And we didn't have to go back to the committees and refine things. This was the first time through. So this is just an amazing position to be in. So again, congratulations to the congregation.
Yeah.
And take a moment to celebrate.
Yeah.
So that's the accounting look. If you look at it from the mission value point of view, that's what this pie chart is, because so it shows how those dollars are distributed amongst the different ministries. So media ministry is in blue at 5% here. Worship is at 28%. Mercy and justice is at 13%. ILC community is at 17%. Welcoming and inviting is at 15%. So what exactly does that mean? I've got my notes here. So mercy and justice is, think of that as social action. And the green is more in-house. So the circles, Wednesday night dinner, pastoral care is the green. Welcoming and inviting is evangelism and helping folks with the renters and so forth like that. And then faith formation is education. So that's how that goes out on a mission value statement. Any questions about the budget? Okay, give it back to Jeff for the motions.
Yes, I'll just add that 2000's 2.7 deficit there. We've got the nice general fund balance to help absorb that, but we figured this small amount is enough to absorb in the general fund. So I wouldn't. There was no concern by the council or the finance about having a small deficit in the budget. So I will always say this is going to be wrong when we look at this next year, but it's going to be very close just by the diligence that we put into it. So with that, I'd like to ask for a motion to accept the 2024 financials and approve the 2025 budget. Motion, can I have a second, please? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Oh, good. We've got a budget. Well, thank you.
Thank you all very much. Really appreciate the hard work of the Finance Committee. I think, those of you who've been on the Finance Committee know, but working for the Church Council, it's amazing the diligence and the care and the thought that team puts into it. So big thank you to everyone on that team. With that, we'll turn it over to Pastor Cindy for her remarks.
First of all, thank you. Thank you. I live in awe of this congregation every day. The people who are here and the things that you do. As Seth said earlier, we owe a debt of thanks to Harvey Yeager for the beautiful outdoor landscaping. He and his team, I will add my own thank yous for that. And I also want to add a public thank you to Ron Struss and Ross Roby for the many projects that you all never see. Things like this week, getting the refrigerator repaired, or that whole sewer thing that you've heard about, or getting heat into the youth room. You keep us going, guys. You and the rest of the property team are really grateful. And one more thank you. I want to thank all the people who show up. The people who show up to set the communion table, to hand out the bulletins, to make gallons of coffee, people who run the dishwasher, people who come to meetings, even when it's cold outside, people who teach children that they're loved, who come to worship. Thank you all for showing up in a million ways. There's so many talents and resources in this congregation. You are all needed, and you are all a blessing. So that's my first point. Thank you. Thank you. Moving on. The Surgeon General of the U.S., who is just finishing up his second term, Vivek Murthy, he just recently published a paper called My Parting Prescription for America. In it, he maintains that community remains the best thing to give fulfillment and well-being in someone's life. He writes this: community is a powerful source of life satisfaction and life expectancy. It's where we know each other, help each other, and find purpose in contributing to each other's lives. These core pillars of community, relationships, service, and purpose, are powerful drivers of fulfillment. They can also significantly influence health outcomes, including premature mortality, heart disease, depression, and anxiety. Community also gives us strength and resilience when facing the big challenges and countless paper cuts that come with moving through the world. Relationships, service, purpose. I propose that the church is well suited to provide that kind of community. Not just relationships, not just service, but all three: relationships, service, and purpose or meaning. More than ever, we have something to offer to this world, something the world needs desperately. So, in the next year, Immanuel will continue to invite people into relationships with God, each other, and the wider community. And so here are a couple things we're working on for the next year. I told Shauna that she's supposed to talk about the next year, so you may hear some repeats in this. First, welcome and engagement. We are recruiting a whole new team for welcome and engagement to look for ways we can invite people in, welcome them, and engage all of us deeply in the ministry and mission of Immanuel. You may or may not have noticed we've got this hashtag, deepening belonging. We're taking that very seriously. Welcome and engagement will be a focus in the next year. As part of that, we are exploring becoming a reconciled in Christ congregation. Does anybody know what that is? Okay, look at that, most of you do. RIC is a way of saying publicly that we are a safe and welcoming place for members of the LGBTQIA+ community and people of all races. It's just a public statement of that. Now, we know we're welcoming. We all already know that, right? But there are many in the LGBTQ community that won't come into a church building without that designation because it may not be safe for them. So we know it, but we need to let others know it as well. So that's one thing that we're looking at in terms of welcome and engagement. During Lent this year, we are going to go deep on the basics. Who are we as Christians in the Lutheran tradition? What are our foundational beliefs that shape who we are and how we live? We're going to be looking at those core beliefs so they can shape that welcome and engagement. See, this is I think number 3. We are a generous congregation. How about that financial report? Woohoo! We have also done amazing things with 7, count them, 7 capital campaigns. No one wants to ever have another capital campaign, me included, when this one ends in May. But folks, the costs will continue. So we're going to ask you to consider continuing your giving to capital needs. Watch for more info on that in the next couple months. And fourth, we have Josh for 5 more months. 5 more months. Then we will send him out into the world to do pastory things. Until then, we will continue to teach him and learn from him. How about that podcast? And work with him so he can be a blessing as a pastor to a congregation in the future. So, as we move into 2025, remember relationships, service, purpose. The church, and especially Immanuel, has something beautiful to offer to the world. Lastly, I want to say thank you to the most amazing staff in the world. Chris, Emily, who I believe is upstairs, Deanna, Bjorn, and Josh. You are amazing leaders, and I am excited about the year ahead. Thank you.
Technical difficulties here. I'm not getting a green light on the. Can you hear me? Oh,
Probably means your battery's dead.
yeah. Okay, cool. I thought it'd look fancy to do it that way, but it turns out it just causes problems. It's the way it goes. All right, we are on to the next important part of this meeting, which is the election of leaders. And I clicked on something bad, and now it's not advancing. There we go, election of leaders. All right, with that, I'll call Rhonda to come up.
And I am green. Can you hear me? Great. Okay. I was looking to see if there's a slide. Oh, there we go. Yeah, well, I guess we're going to first say thank you to those who are rolling off the council this year. I am the past president and head of the nominating committee. I've been on the council for 3 years and have really enjoyed my time with this leadership team and council. It's really been fantastic. So I am rolling off, and we will have a new vice president. Martha Hansen, in the back corner over there.
What is the secretary? That's an error.
Oh, yeah, is the secretary. And I just want everybody to know she has been the secretary for 6 years. And she would continue to be the secretary, I think, if our bylaws allowed it, but they do not. So Martha is stepping off this year, and she has just done a phenomenal job over the last 6 years as a contributor on the council and of keeping all of the minutes and important information that we talk about. She captures it every month for us at council and puts together a little summary that you guys, I think, see in the Vine. So thank you, Martha. Fantastic. And we have one member at large who is leaving the council, and that's Karen Osen. I'm looking. She's out there in the... Karen Dosen. She's been a member at large for 3 years. The member at large position is a 3-year term. And so we thank Karen for her time on the council.
I'm going to step in here because Rhonda can't toot her own horn, so I'm going to do it for her. I just want to say a huge thank you to Rhonda for all that she does for the church, Wednesday night dinners, the touch point, the technology, the website, and being an amazing both president and past president as an example. So thank you, Rhonda, for all that you do.
Thanks. It's really been a pleasure. It's just good to spend time with people at Immanuel. It's just really a joy for me. Okay. With that, I am presenting the slate for our 2025 council. Shauna Bowl, who's here, she's been our vice president. She goes into year 2 and will be our current president for 2025. Seth, who's been the president, is now the past president. And new to the slate that we're going to approve would be Ray Peterson, who will be our new vice president, and he's right there if you don't know where he is. Thank you, Ray, for agreeing to be on the council. I think it's going to be a great addition. New also is Penny Norquist. Penny isn't over there in the back. She has agreed to be the secretary for our council, and I appreciate that. Jeff, who we all know, has agreed to another term. The secretary and treasurer terms are 1 year. So every year we just ask them, and then we have to approve them. And then also continuing on, we have Jennifer Erickson and Gabe Bartholic. Gabe's back there. Jennifer's out there. And you see, we have a little hole in our slate this year. My nominating committee was not able to secure a 3rd member at large. So that is currently, we're still working on that one. So what I'm going to ask when I make the motion to approve this slate is that you allow the nominating committee to continue to do their work to find that 3rd member at large, and that you allow the council then to do the approval of that 3rd member when we find them later this month, next month probably, yeah. Anyway, so that's what I have. I would like to make a motion, or have somebody make a motion, that we approve this slate of candidates with the opening for the member at large position that will then be approved by the council when the nominating committee acquires a 3rd person for that 3rd at-large position. Thanks, Dave. Second? Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion passed.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Rhonda.
Yeah.
And there you are, pictures of all of those elements. One other important thing to mention is just the team leaders, and they work with the various teams you can see here and are doing wonderful jobs and wonderful work leading the different elements and areas. Wanted to recognize one other person, Dave Hansen, stepping down from the Welcome and Engagement team, and so just wanted to thank you for all the work that you've done on that team. And with that is my last, Mark, question.
I'd like to have another thank you. We've got one more thank you from the finance team perspective. We got a lot of operating and a lot of people involved in that, but a special thank you to June Husum, who's stepping down from the counting role after 31 years of service.
And as my last official act, I will welcome the new president to give her remarks. Welcome, Shauna.
Good morning. I'm Shauna Bowl. I know most of you out there. I've spent the past year as vice president at Immanuel. During this time, I've been grateful for so many people, and I'm also well aware that I'm last on the slate here, so I'm not going to name all of those people, but I do want to especially say that my time on the executive council this past year, I could not have done this without Rhonda Jaden. Amazing leadership. Also, just amazing leadership from Seth Harris. I'm glad that you're going to continue to be working with us. We need you. And of course, the amazing Pastor Cindy. Everyone has helped me to learn the basics about how to keep Immanuel running, and I definitely appreciate your wisdom and your leadership. So thank you for that. I have been a member of Immanuel for almost 25 years. When Tom and I joined this church, I was pregnant with our oldest daughter, Lily, and we were looking for a church home for our family. As we raised our daughters into adulthood, Immanuel was such a valuable presence in their faith. The staff and the programs here really helped to shape their faith, as Immanuel continues to shape the faith of the wonderful young people of our church. And strengthening faith formation for young people and for people of all ages is definitely one of the goals that our church council wants to continue working on. I look forward to continuing this work with our council and the various committees to help all of us at Immanuel grow in our faith. Along with faith formation, our second primary goal for Immanuel is to continue our work as a public church, spreading the love of Christ to our neighbors. We want to strengthen our community partnerships, and we hope to find new ways to do God's work within and beyond the walls of this building. Through both of these goals, our church council hopes to find new ways to help people engage with Immanuel, helping current members engage more fully with one another, and welcoming visitors into our community so we can live out our mission together in God's love. The phrase, "it takes a village," is such a cliche, but it rings true when it comes to the work we do at this church. As we move ahead in 2025, I'm grateful for all of you who have given and continue to give so much to this congregation. And I look forward to meeting newer members of the Immanuel community and finding ways to use your amazing talents to help us thrive in our missions. It should be a good year, Immanuel. Thank you. And right before we officially wrap up our meeting, would you please pray with me? Generous God, we thank you for the many gifts you have given to the people of Immanuel. We are grateful for your love as we strive to love others. We are grateful for your strength and comfort whenever we feel weak and overwhelmed. And we are grateful for your inspiration as we dream for a better tomorrow. Be with us now and always as we do your work in this world. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. And am I supposed to now adjourn the meeting? Is that how this works? I think we need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second? Okay, all in favor of adjourning this meeting? Aye. All opposed? Good. All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
sort of a bit.